Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because today we saw another massive pump to the upside, now reaching this critical level of resistance on this descending trend line here. So this is going to be a make or break moment here in the short term, and so far it looks like we are getting a rejection in the short term, although of course it doesn't necessarily have to mean that we get another big dump to the downside. However, it is something to just keep an eye on. For now, we're also holding above this 99.5k level, which is acting as a short-term level of support. So potentially if we were to break back down below that, some areas to pay attention to for short-term support could be this 0.236 Fibonacci level sitting at 98.1k, and below that we do have this 0.382 Fibonacci level sitting at 96.4k in the Bitcoin price. Besides that, now checking back in with this 1-day time frame for Bitcoin, because right now we have finally reached the top of this descending line of resistance on the 1-day RSI, which I have long been speculating on the channel here that we would likely be reaching this descending trend line as we would reach this descending trend line in the RSI, and this has now played out. So what we could be looking out for here in terms of a next confirmation of another potential move to the upside is simply if we are going to break above these previous highs at about 102.5k, because at that point we would be making higher highs in the Bitcoin price once again instead of lower highs over and over again. And besides that, on this 1-day time frame as well, we can also look for a potential break of the descending trend line on the RSI, which would indicate that likely at that point we are getting another move into overbought territory once again. And we have seen this many times before. For example, on the channel here on this 1-week time frame, we were looking at this descending trend line in the RSI again on that 1 week. And when we broke that at the time, I was saying like, yeah, this is the reversal signal in terms of the momentum for Bitcoin. And the base case here was that we would reach overbought territory as well. And I think a similar thing is the case here today. And earlier today in the community, I actually read something that I thought was phrased very nicely, which is that, you know, Bitcoin is in a downtrend until it isn't. And I know that this sounds very fucking obvious. You know, I get it. But at the same time, you know, it's really easy to be at this point now and think like, okay, yeah, we got this move to the upside. Now I'm going to go long. Like, for example, if you are not in the community on Discord and you missed out on this entire move, then, you know, longing it now right before a potential rejection is just not worth it, in my personal opinion. But of course, that's not financial advice. I'm simply telling you what I'm seeing in the charts, and you can do with that information what you like. But as far as I'm concerned, it makes more sense to actually wait for a confirmation if you have already missed out on this entire move here, because then at least after we make that higher high and potentially a higher low, we start forming some bullish market structure, and then from there you can take that long into the next highs that will be reached from that point. But like that person in the community said as well, so long as we are not doing that, Bitcoin is still just in a downtrend. I know that over the last couple of days, we had a bit of fun here on the charts. You know, we were longing on the lower time frames, but at the same time, we still haven't broken this downtrend. So I wouldn't celebrate too early on this one, but that is of course just my personal opinion. Either way, let's now take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map on this 2-week time frame. We have now taken out that 99k level of liquidity, that biggest level of liquidity to the upside that we were talking about here yesterday. Right now, taking a look at the situation, we do have a bit of liquidity to the upside left, for example, at 103.2k, and above that there is even liquidity to the upside at 106.2k as well. So yes, there is still a bunch of liquidity to the upside to potentially be grabbed. As far as liquidity to the downside goes though, do keep in mind that we still have that liquidity all the way down here at about 88,000, and even some liquidity as low as about 86k. Now, I just want to come back to this chart and be completely clear. You know, me saying that we are technically speaking still in this downtrend, it doesn't mean that I'm like perma bearish, thinking that we need to get like some major crash or something. I have actually been longing Bitcoin this whole way up. You can go join the Discord, look in the signals wins, and you will see me longing Bitcoin here over and over again. But at the same time, guys, I simply think that the risk to reward here at this point, as we're already seeing a rejection on the lower time frames from that descending trend line, is just not as good as when we actually had the bullish momentum here. And yes, if, for example, tomorrow you see us do something like this, we start making those higher highs again, and from there we get some kind of higher low, we're making this bullish structure here. Of course, at that point, you will see me flip much more bullish once again, and that's not me flip-flopping every other day. It is simply a new situation that we would be in at that point, right? Similar to right now on the 1 day time frame as I am looking at this. Well, simply right now, we are still below that descending trend line, and therefore we have to be open to the possibility of another rejection on that RSI as well as in the price action. Next, let's take a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday, we saw a net inflow of over $700 million into the Bitcoin ETFs. Do keep in mind that the BlackRock data is not here yet, so maybe they got some kind of massive outflow, but that doesn't seem very likely considering all these other inflows that we got here. Regardless, so long as these Bitcoin ETFs keep buying hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every single weekday, obviously this is going to have an upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. So this has been today's market update. Don't forget to join the Road to 1 Million community on Discord. You can find the link to that in the video description. And of course, it is completely free to join. But regardless, if you do end up joining that or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.